October 7, 1985, the Mediterranean would bear witness to something far darker, a night when luxury and leisure collided with fear and terror. On this calm evening sailed the Achille Lauro, a floating palace of comfort and elegance. With a capacity for hundreds, the ship was alive with the laughter of families, the quiet conversations of couples, and the soft rhythms of leisure. Crystal chandeliers glimmered under the dining room lights, the scent of gourmet meals drifted through the air, and music intertwined with the gentle hum of the engines. This was a vessel of dreams, carrying the hopes of vacationers across the serene Mediterranean waters. For the passengers, it was a temporary escape, a voyage into blissful normality. But beyond the horizon, beyond the watchful eyes of the crew, danger was quietly gathering. For men, armed, disciplined, and merciless, were preparing to board. For them, the Achille Lauro was not a sanctuary, but a stage. A stage for a mission that would seize the world's attention and terrorize hundreds of innocent people. They came not as travelers, but as intruders. In the dead of night, they slipped past the ship's security, their movements precise, calculated, deliberate. They carried with them more than weapons. They carried an ideology fueled by anger, desperation, and the unshakable belief that their actions would make a statement the world could not ignore. In the dining halls, laughter still echoed. Outside, the waves lapped gently against the hull. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of roasted meats and fine wine. No one knew the shadow that had entered their paradise. No one could imagine the nightmare about to unfold in the quiet corridors of luxury, of corridor doors opening quietly. Instantly, the first shock struck the crew and passengers alike. Screams replaced laughter. Confusion replaced calm. The meticulous order of the ship dissolved into chaos as the militants moved swiftly, corralling passengers, asserting control, and demonstrating the power they had seized in moments. Every corner became a threat. Every cabin a potential trap. For those trapped inside, there was no way out, no immediate rescue. The Achille Lauro, once a symbol of safety and indulgence, had transformed into a floating prison, where fear was as pervasive as the sea surrounding them. Amid the chaos, the militants singled out certain passengers, choosing hostages to strengthen their leverage. One man, in particular, would become the tragic focal point of their cruelty. Leon Klinghoffer, an elderly, wheelchair-bound American, was taken forcibly from his cabin. His wife, helpless and terrified, watched as her husband was isolated, his fate sealed in a horrifying act of violence that would shock the world. As the Achille Lauro drifted in the Mediterranean, the world remained unaware, but the tension aboard the ship reached its peak. Passengers huddled together, whispers of prayer and hope filling the air. The crew risked everything to protect the innocent, guiding them through the maze of fear with as much calm and courage as they could muster. Governments would scramble. Naval fleets would mobilize. Diplomats would negotiate. The incident, initially a maritime crime, quickly escalated into an international crisis. The world watched, riveted and horrified, as a luxury cruise, a vessel meant for joy and celebration, became a symbol of terror and vulnerability on the high seas. And yet, amidst this darkness, glimmers of humanity shone through. Crew members shielded passengers with their own bodies. Friends comforted friends. Couples held hands, refusing to let fear erase the human spirit. Even in terror, courage survived. This is the story of the Achille Lauro, a story not merely of crime and violence, but of resilience, bravery, and the consequences of extremism. The events that unfolded on that fateful night would forever alter maritime law, security protocols, and the way the world perceives the dangers lurking beyond the horizon. 1. Security should never be taken lightly. The Achille Lauro was a symbol of luxury and safety, yet a brutal attack still took place on board. Lesson: comfort and technology alone do not guarantee safety. True security depends on constant vigilance and preparedness. 2. Extremism ultimately harms the innocent. The attackers claimed they wanted to send a message, but instead they murdered a helpless, elderly, disabled man. Lesson: violent ideologies never bring justice, they only destroy human life and dignity. 3. Civilians are always the greatest victims. The passengers had no political role and committed no crime, yet they were taken hostage. Lesson: violence never stays confined to its intended target, its consequences spread indiscriminately. 4. Courage is not defined by weapons. Many of the true heroes were unarmed crew members who risked their lives to protect others. Lesson: real courage comes from humanity, responsibility, and self-sacrifice, not force. 5. A single incident can change global systems. After this event, major changes were made to maritime law, international security, and counter-terrorism policies. Lesson: one act of violence can reshape laws, borders, and global cooperation. 6. Fear never earns respect. The attackers sought attention through terror, but history remembers them not as fighters, only as killers. Lesson: respect cannot be achieved through fear, it only leaves shame shame and condemnation. 7. Humanity endures even in darkness. Despite fear, captivity, and the threat of death, people supported one another and held on to hope. Lesson: human connection remains our strongest refuge in times of terror.